Well, good morning and happy Thursday. Yesterday was a gorgeous day. Today's supposed to be a gorgeous day. Not sure that takes your anxiety away, but I hope so. And I hope that what Paul writes here is also helpful. This is day, 3 or 4 in which we've been thinking about anxiety. It's because there's a lot of anxiety at this particular moment. That's because we live in an anxious age. And so we've been unpacking things. And so far, in addition to other things, I've sort of mapped out 4 or 5 things that you can do so far. I said, look, we got to get right with God through Christ. Got to understand the gospel, lean into grace, really focus on that. It changes everything. Secondly, we need to lean into friends. Friends help us double the pleasure and divide the headaches and the hassles. Third, we need to rejoice in the Lord. Joy is a discipline. We need to work at this. We need to focus on the things that we're thankful for. 4, yesterday I talked about embracing this radical evenness or moderation, that we need a bigger perspective, not just the last 2 minutes, and so we're not suffering such low lows. We sort of take away some of the high highs, but we manage things out a little bit. So number 5, 6, and 7 today. Number 5, replace worry with prayer. This is what Paul writes about. This is what many people think about. Philippians 4:6, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer, with thanksgiving, supplication, let your requests be made known unto God. It's actually several different Greek words that get used here. The emphasis is on the idea of thanksgiving, that kind of prayer, and also on requests, supplication. So you can use different models for prayer. Use the Psalms as a prayer guide. Pray the Lord's Prayer. Use that as a template. But one of the others that I've talked about a lot is Acts. A stands for adoration or praising God. The C is for confession. The T is for thanksgiving. And the S is for supplication or requests. So the emphasis in Philippians 4:6 is on the last two, is on thanking God for the good things that He has done, which reduces anxiety, and then also making our requests known unto God. Number 6 is to be humble. So 6 and 7 don't get explicitly stated in Philippians 4, but they're part of, I think, the vibe of the whole letter. So obviously he said in Philippians 2, that we should humble ourselves, not be driven by selfish ambition, have this attitude which was also in Christ Jesus, who, although existed in the form of God, and then we sort of start down. I think that there's almost a second conversion, and I don't want to emphasize that too much, but there's almost a second discovery, there was for me, from thinking that God was for me, consequently I'm going to get all my hopes and desires met, to a second conversion in which I realized, it's really not about me. It's about Him. And I can make my requests. God invites me to make all the requests that I want to Him, to express those things. But at some point, there's a much greater sense of peace in which I pray, Lord, what I really want is I want your will. I do believe that. I don't always feel that, but that's what I want. And that takes anxiety out of the equation when I realize, hey, Lord, I want to embrace your will. So I think that comes with the humility that comes with Christian maturity. And the last thing I'll say is, make peace with the worst. This may not be what you were expecting, may not be what you want to hear, but look, there's a sense in which there's great comfort in knowing that the things I fear may actually come true. But I will ultimately prevail over these things, because even if the worst, and most people would say one of the worst things would be my death. I think that the death of a loved one can be even more traumatic, but death seems to be a big fear for many people. And even if I die, right? That works out. And Paul, writing from a prison cell, has got this attitude, right? He's excited. He's in a prison cell. But he's writing and he says, look, to live is Christ and to die is gain. If I'm going to die, right, that is progress. Then I get to be out of this broken world, and I get to go and be in the full presence of God. So I'm not asking you to look forward to death, and the actual process of death might be unnerving, but eternity changes everything. And having a sense that God is going to prevail, I think, can help take anxiety out of the equation, make peace with the worst. I hope these pointers help you deal with anxiety today. Have a great day.